Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be carrying on with the exceptional story Flint, and we are about to go inside of a vineyard. The trellises and lawns open before you. After the blood blush of the forest, their green and grey is cool as the sea. In the centre of the vineyard, a gentle knoll rises. Something glimmers at its summit. This will take you to the vineyard. You won't be able to leave until you've completed your business here. The vines are a cool and shining grey. Each grape is a faceted fragment of flint. The gravel and the path crunches beneath your feet. Breeze smells of stone and quiet must. The mountain seems much closer here. The first vigneron walks companionably beside you, wool-wrapped hand on your shoulder. His grape mask tilted towards you. Each time you stray towards the edge of the path or towards the vines, he squeezes your shoulder in warning. Other vignerons attach themselves to your companions. Their gait and manner is human, but their wrappings conceal everything. Not an inch of skin is visible. Your deputy halts for a moment to examine a statue. A young woman, smiling peacefully, looking out across a tumble of stones to a quiet pool. So we can talk to the woman in yellow. I want to thank you for saving me, but this is where I end. I miss my brother. I long for the mountain's garden, and this vineyard has something of the garden. Here, perhaps, I will have peace. When you make this choice, your deputy will become a statue. If you encouraged her to look backwards when she spoke of regret, it may be your only choice. Well, we do have another choice. Stay with me. Live. Remind your deputy of what you said beside the nameless river. There is always hope. There is always a reason to continue. Truer words have never been said. Your deputy is silent a long time. All right, you've brought me this far. I won't leave you now. Let's go on. Let's go on. Ooh. Okay, we have 3 golden cards here. A lawn of peaceable grasses. A bulky statue at the far side of the lawn catches your attention. We have this because of seeking the prisoner Flint. Okay. The violent gate. The vignerons will not permit you to leave the way you entered. Or we can look at the statues in the vineyard. Statues stand in every imaginable attitude, and some that you might prefer not to imagine. Let's have a look at the statues. A taste of wine will wake one from its stony prison. Let's search the statues. Who can you find? Many have been eroded or encrusted by mineral cavern rains, or vandalized by unknown hands. But here's one. We can wake a merry woman. She raises her cup as if toasting. A beatific smile wreathes her face. Sure, why not? Let's free this merry woman. Thank you. What's the date? I see. 5 years. Better and worse than I'd feared. The council may have forgotten me by now. I should get back to London with all dispatch. Which way is the violent gate? Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a little information I will share, although most of it will be out of date. And then I'll be off. So we gained 2 moves in the great game and 1 intriguing snippet. And we lost a wind from the mountain quality. All that for 1 bottle of Greyfields? What a good trade that is. Let's search the statues again. A weeping statue. Her head is bowed. Stone tears track her cheeks. She grasps a bone spear. Let's free her. An antique tongue. Is the Khan dead? She asks. Her accent is peculiar. barely intelligible. Her burning gaze tracks your garments. You're not from the roses. Her face crumples. Then we lost. It was all for nothing. She collapses to the ground. She will say nothing more. We gained an extraordinary implication. Keep searching the statues here. That's another weeping statue. I feel this might just be a way of farming up particular things, so I'm not going to do this. Let's move on. With its fruits and its frights. I think the violent gate is the way out, so let's go to a lawn of peaceable grasses. A bulky statue at the far side of the lawn catches your attention. Then the statue turns its head. It's no statue, it's the patroness. She takes one step towards you, and the grasses twine around her feet. She looks down, disconcerted. They release her, and she steps back. Parley, she growls. So I can say I want the napped back before we talk. She's a fatally dangerous woman. Let her give up the weapon as proof of her good faith. Or I want the word back before we talk. You passed through the fire seeking the word, and still she took it from you. Let her give it up as a sign of her good faith, or we can just talk. I'm going to ask for the napped. No, she snorts. She shakes her head. You see that she's holding the napped. It looks improbably small in her beefy hand. Her knuckles whiten as her grip tightens. Can I have the word back? Okay, let's just talk. We need not be enemies. I'm hunting the thief of faces. You're the bishop's agent. Bishop's a snuffer. Thought they were all in it together. Heard differently. You're just here treasure hunting. Help me get on the thief's trail, and I'll help you get what you need. Then we'll call all debts paid. She bares her teeth. Even your theft. It would have only been theft if you did get it back. So we can either agree you'll be allies, however briefly. This will equip the patroness as a companion who increases dangerous, watchful, and dreaded for a brief time. Or we can tell her to stay away from me. Whatever she's doing here, the safest place for you is the farthest place from her. I'm gonna say stay away from me. I don't trust her. Suit yourself, she says. I have more important business, luckily for you. She turns and steps between the vines, disappearing from view. The lesser wound. The vignerons will not approach the central knoll. A spring flows from its side into a deep pool, red like the waters of the nameless river, but a deeper red. This is unmistakably the heart of the vineyard. Here must flow the essences the bishop seeks. There is movement around the pool. Gristle-webbed jumbles of stone watch you with botched eyes. The vignerons stand well back. So we can fight off the wound's guardians. What are they? Unlovely congeries of rock, woken to half-life? Huge as rhinos, shapeless as storm clouds. Organs pulse in the cracks of the rock. Tendrils contract. They are clumsy, but terribly strong. Well, let's go. A bruising battle. You and your companions assail the things with guns and cudgels. You slice gristle, stab organs, pop half-devil opened eye bumps. The things are so big that so much of them is unyielding stone that you can't cripple them, but they obviously feel pain. They fall back, burbling dully in misery. From a safe distance, they watch, rumbling. So now we have two options. We can collect the essences. The rocky masses cringe back, rumbling plaintively. The pool awaits for you. This is why you've come all this way. Or we can drink from the wound, Perilous, perilous. You will certainly suffer grievously. Curiosity killed the cat. I am curious as to what would happen if I would drink from the wound. It says perilous. Unlock this by not having a moment in time, and unlock this when all shall be well is but not always. I think I'm going to make the smart choice here and just collect the essences and not drink from the wound. I'm not sure what it's going to do, but very rarely do Failbetter say something is a bad idea. And when they do say it's a bad idea, it tends to very much be a bad idea. So let's collect the essences and move on. If the surface sunset was the blood of the sun, if it pumped out its heart's last dregs into the mild sea, if the waters stank of copper and the sky was a shroud, then this water would be the colour of a sunset. It is red, red, red. You capture traces in several tiny vials for safety and seal them tightly. You are careful not to touch it. The vials are warm. We avoided the patroness. I'm not drinking from the wound, game. It's trying. Let's poke around a little longer. What is this place? What else might remain here? The grass around the pool grows deep and lush, a deeper green than the lawns below. Here and there in the grass, fragments of black glass glitter darkly. They seem wave-smoothed, as if they'd washed up on a beach. They smell very faintly of smoke. Wave-smoothed or not, they are hungry. One of your companions drops one with a yelp, sucking a wounded thumb. That is all. I guess all that's left to look at now is the violent gate. We can depart the vineyard. Light shifts uneasily in the doorway. Violent is the colour of troublesome but necessary connections. Leave when you have finished here. You will not be able to return for the foreseeable future. I believe I am finished here. Short of cycling through all the statues and seeing what we find. How long do you walk? Difficult to say. Violent light swallows the before and the behind. The stones beneath your feet are heptagonal tiles, impossibly tessellated. The walls bear mottos. Heal her and bind the continent. The air drips radiance. Each step you take leaves a bruise. Ahead of you, the spires of caution begin. How long do you walk? Difficult to say. This triple-lobed portal of shell is the Pilgrim's Gate. Here the coastal peoples of the Presbyterian enter when they make their journey to the mountain. The pilgrim wakers rear to greet you. Have you lived enough? They cry. And speak with the old hound, or we can return to the menagerie. But now something makes the pilgrim wakers draw back. Look, they have sent the old hound out to speak to you. Let's speak to the old hound. I don't know who the old hound is, but curious. Go, she groans. Your feet are dark with the flint dust. The thief of faces follows. Leave us, please. We must have our faces, please. We cannot be seen. On the ramparts by the gate, the salamanders raise javelins, rattling their helmet crests. Oh no, is something going to be following us? Oh, we can return to the menagerie. I guess that's what we have to do, if it is still here. The menagerie is packing up. Wombwell and Stark bicker half-heartedly over the details of a cage loading. So we can go back with the menagerie. Not looking for an exhibit now, Professor Stark raps. But you can pay to travel with the labourers again. Oh, or we can go back alone. If the Gracious catch you, they'll deport you. But you're on your way home anyway. Let's pay the passphrases and get back home. At first, the nameless river seems less red after the savage carmine of the lesser wound. After a day or two travelling beside it, you have all the red you could ever want. Gets into your dreams. In your dreams, the mountain cries out and the river gushes from her side. We're back in Apis Meat. I mean, I assume I'm just heading home now, right? Let's try some of these other things. Wait, I can still do this? You unlock this by having no sneered snuffers. Oh, okay. Well, let's consider a complex commission. I mean, that seems like it's going to be a pain. We're looking for the napped and have fulfilled your other goal. What is this? An auburn-haired woman in a careful hat marches smiling up. You understand this Vespertine nonsense, don't you? I have a commission for you. They call me the delightful adventuress. Yes. Well, I have an interest in an imperturbable patroness. You've heard of her, I imagine. If you've been tweaking the Vespertine's noses. They'll be here very soon, and she sent orders ahead, but they're in Vespertine Mystery Cant. Can you meet me in my lodgings and help decipher it? Don't be followed. We have done work with this lady in sunless seas. I wonder if I was supposed to do this beforehand. Oh well, let's enter a competition with the markswoman. Here's a woman in a Royal Navy uniform with the insignia ripped off. She's shooting giant land snails off a fallen statue. She notices your attention. Think you'd be a better shot, do you? The markswoman lends you a pistol, and you both spend a pleasant half hour shooting snails to shards. Her score steadily rises, but yours rises faster. Finally, the statue is empty of snails. The markswoman purses her lips and holds out her hand for the pistol. You're a fine shot, she allows. We didn't agree a prize, did we? But here's something I picked up. Call it a souvenir. We get an unearthly fossil. Apparently I just can't make it past to not be morning time, huh? Let's go to the Eminescence Hospital. What do we have now we don't have the snuffer? A traveller from upriver sweats and moans as the flame devours his flesh and soul. You comfort him as best you can. He is shrivelling already. Thank you, he whispers. Take my candle. When it's lit, I will live for the final time. Hey, we got a morning candle. I do not see a way to get to this lady, but yeah, let's work for the Mythendrake office. I am running out of actions, which is a small problem. The office maintains a proud building at the head of Circury Street. In its honey-stained cubbies, you whisper your story to a series of bland-faced Mythendites who break it down into its constituents and reassemble it into terrifying lies about lakes of spiders. You learn a great deal from the conversations. Probably. They supposedly pay you with a formula, although you suspect they may have made that up too. We got passphrases and Mysteries of the Outer Continent and a Z story, good lord. Ah, here we go, a complex commission. I have one action left, so this could be a very short one. The auburn-haired woman has installed herself in a hunting lodge a half-mile outside town. Privacy, she remarks. So rare in London. So inevitable here. The adventuress's study is crowded with books. Printed copies of her diaries, of her travels. They didn't sell as well as I'd hoped. Here in the meat, she confesses grumpily. The Mithridat office manufactures too much competition. You set to work on the coded letters while the adventuress watches. Equipped as you are with knowledge of the Order Vespertine's iconography, you don't find it difficult. The patroness has instructed their lodged here to unearth all myths and mythridacies of the Thief of Faces, and prepare for the grand hunt. Interesting, the adventuress chimes. Fine local colour for the next diary. Thank you. Is payment in beetles acceptable? Oh my god, we gained 486 scarabs? Why do you have so many scarabs? So let's listen to a storyteller. Now that the mountain is dimming, the shadows of the bee-crested columns are fainter. The storytellers glance nervously at the pooling dark. Love me, he said. So he took up the hammer From the shards of the first blow, she made an axe. From the second, a sword. From the third, a knife of power. The fourth, a stylus that could score sandstone. The fifth, a seal not susceptible to imitation. From the sixth, a needle. On the seventh, there was nothing left at all. "I love you," she said to the wind. Ooh. With a gunshot crack, the tree of a single day splits along its length. It's time to return to your ship. Well, let's return back to London here. We'll take the steamer again. Apparently I brought my ship with me, just I towed it with me on the back of the steamer. Let's go back on the steamer. The statues recede along the dark water. The gracious patrol boat veers back towards the city. A steamer voyage begins. Wave your handkerchief from the ship's rail. I think we can just, we can just end this. We can pass it. We can pass it. Sometimes a journey is so enjoyable, so sweet, that it flashes past in a moment. Requires fate. Maybe not. Well, let's have another chance encounter at the ship's rail. The undersea can be a lonely place. Let's talk to the decorous baronet. Yes, well, you see that my own vessel is being repaired after an attack by Iron Republic corsairs. A terrible business, but what can one do? I know we've not formally been introduced, but, well, I think we can be forgiven for a tiny impropriety just this once. Tell me, would you care to take a little snuff? Okay, well, let's pass our time here heading out. The steamer is crowded and your cabin is more of a shelf than a hold. Let's do some little exercise here. This is just going to be doing monotonous things until we finally make our way back to London, I feel. The wild-eyed journalist isn't a natural, but you convince her to throw a few quoits. The courtier of exiled rakes are more interested in gambling on the skittles than playing, but one of them joins in at the insistence of his fellows. It's not much, but perhaps it's enough to keep your fine physique from sliding into mediocrity. Speak to the other travellers. You're going to be with them for some time, it's best to get to know them. Travellers to and from Polythreme are a queer lot. Many are lonely. Those travelling to Polythreme are looking for comfort. Those travelling away didn't find it, or found too much of it. The waves pass swiftly as you chat and ponder. Pass your time, no sight of land. The journey has settled you into a routine of sleeping in a cramped bed, eating ship's rations, and conversing with the other passengers. How will you keep your mind busy? Let's play a game of the mind. When the weather's calm, you can set up a table on the deck with a chessboard. 3 wins and a loss. There are some decent players on the ship, especially the stubbornly defensive purser. The ship surges ever forwards as you play. We're at journey's end 7, no land in sight. We've got to be getting close now, right? Well, you know what we've got to do now? We've got to play a game of cards. The scourge of the upper classes is alive and well aboard the battered steamer. By now, the portable stakes have gravitated to the best players. Games are played for matchsticks and promissory notes. You spread your cards on the rickety, spray-washed table. You win. Again. You now have an admirable collection of matchsticks and hold promissory notes from a trio of penniless rakes. Still, it passes time. Nearing journey's end. Is the horizon ahead starting to bump and crinkle? Is that land you can see? We'll be there soon. But what do you do now? Let's read a book. You've read the books you brought with you as much as you can bear. Perhaps one of the other travellers will lend you something. You arrange to borrow a couple of passable novels. Gothic, of course, but people write little else these days. There must be something in the air. You also find a copy of Musings in Purple, which will keep you occupied for a while. We're nearly there. Let's listen to some sailors' tales. Perhaps you're getting sick of the other passengers. The crew know you well enough to be willing to share their stories. The one about the mermaid twins. The one about the fiddler's fluke. The one about the wax wind and the deckhand. These tales are told over and over in 100 ports. They're not new to you, but they pass time. And we're there, apparently. At last, the journey is over. Obviously, we're going to London. The steamer gently thumps against the jetty. You're home. Once again, you stand on the quayside with your deputy. But now you are veterans of the bleeding forest, graced by the curious tan of the mountain's rays, touched by the powers of Flint. The woman in yellow. I considered staying in the vineyard, she tells you. You can imagine why, but this is home now. You will always have my gratitude. I'll be nearby when you need me, and I will see to it that my debt is paid in as much as it can be. One favour, please don't mention me to my brother. She smiles. I'll see you later. And we have 2 snuffers gratitude, oh my. This is going well, isn't it? Well, that's the new exceptional story that I haven't done yet. We need to have our final conversation with the bishop. The bishop has arranged to meet you in a hidden gallery at St. Fiacre's. He waits before the death mask of the man they now call the architect of birds. His eyes burn. Tell me everything, he says. So we can tell him and say truly or falsely that you didn't work with the patroness. The voyage to Appismeet, the wonders of caution, the horrors of the bleeding forest and of the vineyard, where you met and rejected the patroness. We can tell him nothing. You brought him his essences, you didn't promise him any more. We'll tell him everything. So, she was hunting the thief of faces. I should have thought of that. A very Vespertine thing. A shame. She and I might have been allies, had we parleyed. It sounds like you had a hard road. You have my sympathies. Now, let's speak of something more important. Okay, so now we have to give him the essences. Do you have them? Had I a soul, he says, I would thank you from the bottom of my soul. Instead, I will only say you have my deepest gratitude. I no longer wish to be what I am. I hope that with these essences I may change, become something better, something less. He looks up at you. I will pay you as richly as I can, but first, do you, too, desire absolution? I don't think I need absolution. Do I need absolution? This will allow you to alter your quirks dramatically, or purify yourself of menaces. I mean, my menaces aren't very high. Let's refuse absolution. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. I respect that. I could not say the same, but I respect that. Let us speak of your payment. Okay, so we have 3 options here. We can ask about the mountain as final payment. I will pay you the fee I have promised, and I will give you one secret besides. Are you curious about light? This will give you 50 echoes and an elemental secret. We can ask about the Thief of Faces as a final payment. Yes, the fee. And you'd rather hear about Shadow? That'll give us 50 echoes and a dreadful surmise. Or we can ask about the bishop himself. Are you sure? I'm rather less interesting than either the mountain or my notorious progenitor. This will give you 50 echoes, but only a searing enigma, which is worth much less than either an elemental secret or a dreadful surmise. Let's ask about the bishop. We envy humans, my cousins and I. How could we not? We were made in your shape, but we lack your souls and your lives. We are mockeries, sustained by the memory of wax and the mountain's anger. We are both barred from the garden but we remember it, and you do not. We steal your skins for safety, but also because we long to be you. And I am tired. I found the doctrines of your God, but they are not enough. I had hoped to become human, but I cannot. I had hoped to win a soul, but I can only steal it. I can, however, hope to be no longer a snuffer. I will end what I was. I will use these essences you have brought me. I will abandon myself to find a lesser self, but perhaps a better self, like a new shape found in Flint. This story ends here. Guard your essences closely. You will find another use for them if you play the next 2 exceptional stories. Well done. There we go. I think that's the end of it. You have completed Flint and gleaned an unusual insight into the bishop and his cousins. I think that might have been the most interesting ending for me anyway. Learning more about how the snuffers see themselves. Very good. Very good indeed. Very, I guess they don't do epilogues in these old stories. I guess that was the epilogue. So I think that's the end of the exceptional story. So I'm going to thank you very much for watching. I'm going to remind you that if you want to support the channel, please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Obviously, if you want to support me more, I have a coffee page. I talked about it in the first episode. I shall talk about it here again. But either way, thank you very much for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.